I really need to come up with an intro. But in this video, we'll be taking a look at React refs. And before we dive into that, it's important that you have a bit of background information as to what the DOM is and what the virtual DOM are. And so we'll start off by just creating a regular HTML file. And I will remove the vast majority of this stuff. Let's say, there you go. Okay. And now if I were to open this up in Chrome, now you can see our HTML elements right here. And essentially, every one of these elements is modeled by a JavaScript object. And so they call it the document object model because the highest level element is the document, and from the document we can access things like the body. And so here we have the body and we have our div right here. If we wanted to take a look at the properties of the body, then we could do something like this. And now you can see all the implicit properties in the DOM node. And you can see right here that we even have a style property. And so I could do something like document.body.style.background color is equal to blue. And that would change the background color. Now where React comes in is that as the applications as technology has progressed, more and more applications have moved towards, we've moved towards single page applications. And single page applications, as opposed to having multiple different files that you will request from the server, you will just request once and the application will pretend to navigate to different pages when you click links or go to different pages within the app. And the problem with single page applications is that their DOM trees tend to be massive. And so because it's just one page, one HTML file, there is hundreds, if not thousands, of elements. And so what React does is it has the concept of a virtual DOM. And a virtual DOM, essentially what's in it is a representation of actual DOM nodes, except there's a lot less. So you can see for the body right here, it has a whole bunch of properties. Well, in the virtual DOM, there would be a body object as well, but it would be a lot more lightweight, so it would have a lot less properties. And similarly with all the other elements. And so when we need to make changes to these elements, because again, single page applications use a lot of JavaScript to pretend that you're navigating to different pages, it will basically check to see if there was a change. And if it picked up on a change, then it will re-render only those elements where the change occurred. And that's why in React you have render methods. And so essentially what React does is it will take a snapshot of the virtual DOM and it will check to see if there's any changes. If they're not, then it doesn't do anything. But if it does, then it will modify the actual DOM. And so in certain circumstances in React, you might want to access the DOM directly, and this is where refs come in. So I might end up cutting the video depending on how long this takes, but we're gonna create a basic React application, and we'll be taking a look at how we can use React refs to select and manipulate DOM nodes directly. And we're back. So if I open up our project and take a look at our app component, let's remove all this stuff. All right, so suppose I had a div in here and I wanted to access this div directly. Well, what I could do in the constructor is I could initialize a variable, let's call it this.div, and make it equal to null to begin with. And then within here, what we'll do is we'll use the ref prop, and in here we'll put a callback. And so in this example, the element will take on the value of the DOM node for this div, and what we're saying is set the value of this div to that. And to view that, we could add a button with an onClick event. And now if I were to start our application, come on. All right, perfect. So let's change that so there's text. Not that it really matters. And if I were to open up the DevTools and click this button, we can now take a look at the value of this.div. And the reason why I'm getting that is because I did not find the value of this. Let's try that again. If I click this and then take a look at the value of the div, we can see that it's the element. So again, I could do something like console.dir, and I could pass in this.div, and we can take a look at all of the properties to the div. Similarly, I could manipulate it like this.div .inner text is equal to hello world, and it would change the value of it. That's odd. Where'd my button go? Okay, that was really weird, but as you can see, now my button's there and we've changed the text of the div to hello world. It's worth mentioning that you should at all possible avoid using refs, just because this bypasses React, because normally React is just watching for changes on the virtual DOM. And so if this component re-rendered or some event happened with the component, you could get some odd behavior with this ref. And so that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments.